Time again to drop a line in the water with Terry Tuma as he offers up some tips on catching crappies. Here's this week's Channel 12 fishing tip.
Summer crappies, slab crappies we're talking about, are catchable throughout that open water season. So often we think, well, they just don't bite. That is not true. The biggest ingredient here is that we're not looking in the right spots. Some of the deep green weed edges can be very productive. Rock piles, humps inside brake line turns. They can also roam a basin and in search of food source. Always remember, crappies and food go hand in hand. If you got aggressive fish, then, and most of the time we're not going to see real aggressive fish, but if we do have, then using a jig spin such as a tadpole spin, and here you can either pinch the tail off and use a minnow, or just cast and troll it. Trolling works extremely well, sort of in search of the size of these crappies. Now, if you got neutral fish, most of the time, it's going to be a jig and a minnow, possibly using a power grub, and then I do like preferably tube jigs and hair jigs, and again, tipped with minnows under these kind of conditions for a neutral fish, and then working those specific locations. Again, either cast to or you can drift in these areas or use your trolling motor. The biggest factor here is if you find a school of crappies, they don't always school, by the way, is always start on the top side or the outside edges. Do not start in the center, but you're going to spook these fish. If you got a tough bite fish, then a plain jig itself is going to be very, very productive. Tipped with a minnow, obviously, or using float system with a hook and a bead, I prefer, cast into those specific locations. If you find concentrated fish, very concentrated, then use a bobber system. Give crappie fishing a try throughout the summertime. You'll be very, very impressed with the success you'll have.
All right, thanks, Terry. And that's it for Sports.